what you swallow is $5 million, snatched from the jaws of death. Beneath 40-foot waves, the ocean is a razor blade. Sliding onto a steel deck at negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit, your heart stops beating in exactly 3 minutes. The most ruthless 72-hour hunt has begun, throwing lives into the black abyss, only to exchange them for a melting slice of flesh on a porcelain plate. Back in the Edo period, bluefin tuna was considered absolute trash. The flesh rotted rapidly, reeking of rusted iron. Below 3,000 feet, boiling blood keeps its core 35 degrees hotter than the sea. Heat is pumped to the retinas, turning eyes into radar piercing the dark. A masterpiece dominating the food chain, but spending a lifetime racing against suffocation. Greatness is an eternal prison of the flesh. 5:30 a.m., Toyosu Market. The biological machines lie motionless at negative 60 degrees. But this power carries a death sentence. It cannot pump oxygen across its gills. The mouth must remain open, the body continuously thrusting forward. If it stops swimming, it will instantly suffocate. Below 3,000 feet, the water is 39 degrees Fahrenheit. Its blood is immediately superheated, keeping its core 35 degrees hotter than the ocean. Thermal energy pumps into the retina, transforming its eyes into night vision devices. A flawless apex predator, but spending its entire life running from asphyxiation, its biological greatness is ultimately an eternal prison of the flesh. "5:30 in the morning at the Toyosu Fish Market, a chilling silence of cold calculation. The biological machines lay paralyzed Eid at negative 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Elite inspectors press bare hands against the flesh, judging the melting speed of a toro fat. The final verdict is cast. Over $20 million circulates continuously through silent hand signals. In a single blink, $3.2 million changes hands. The unfathomable majesty of nature is ruthlessly quantified on lifeless paper receipts. The vast ocean possesses no blind spots. Sprinting at 43 miles per hour, the bluefin is still relentlessly hunted by killer whales, wielding a crushing bite of 19,000 psi. That is the primal brutality of nature. But escaping the orca, they charge straight into a far more sinister mechanical trap. The greatest enemy does not belong to the sea. 40 miles of line, rigged with 3,000 blood-soaked steel hooks, suspended in the pitch-black dark. Tender strands of nylon bearing thousands of pounds, silently waiting for the fatal strike. The proud king who conquered millions of years of evolution finally falls to a lifeless string of plastic. Man is not fishing. We are executing a systematic purge. The cable snaps. A block of metal whips back at 300 miles per hour. A 1-inch margin of error splits a skull in half. Death grazes the deck.
Shut the fuck up!
Negative 20-degree Fahrenheit seawater crashes onto the deck, instantly freezing, turning the surface into a deadly slide of blades. Upon this realm of death, ghostly figures gamble their own lives. They sail because of crippling debt. The bank demands $250,000 and $5,000 of fuel burns every trip. Between saving their families and dying in the deep, the boundary is as fragile as a fishing line. Dual band sonar shreds the darkness 1,200 feet down. The coordinates are locked. 50 pounds of fresh blood chum plunges into the abyss, triggering a predatory sense of smell 10,000 times sharper than ours. The contract of life and death is officially signed. Roaring eruption. This glory comes not from bravery. It is the ruthless addiction of conquest. The hydraulic winch smokes from the violent friction, while the 5,000-pound capacity cable stretches and deforms, groaning dryly like snapping bones. Just as the laws of physics are crushed, the cable suddenly snaps. The massive chunk of metal whips backward at a terrifying 300 miles per hour, with a margin of error of just 1 inch. That devastating kinetic force easily pierces a steel cabin or splits a hunter skull in half. The steel deck is washed clean. The ship cuts through waves toward port. In the negative 60-degree freezer, the former king lies motionless, awaiting a 6,000-mile journey to Toyosu. Under the brutal pressure of the deep sea, human engineering has never truly mastered the game, because ultimately, we are just desperate gamblers, betting our lives against the abyss. Industrial purse seine nets tighten. 2,000-pound winches scrape the ocean clean. Massive volume exchanged for destruction. Absolute panic generates lactic acid, burning the meat from the inside out. A 5-foot steel blade glides. A single cut breaks the spine, stripping the armor of the ocean. The 800-pound monster is deconstructed. Heart rate exceeds 150. Dopamine fires directly into the nervous system. A roaring scream of triumph. This is not bravery. It is the ruthless addiction of conquest. All biochemical reactions are violently terminated. The colossal muscle block, born to tear through the ocean at 70 miles per hour, is now motionless. Lactic acid breakdown is instantly halted. The Titan heart stops beating, but every glowing red fiber still twitches in an unconscious death throe. Life is extinguished, but perfection has just begun. On the steel deck, men scrub the remains of a god D. The iridescent blue scales that once glided through the 3,000-foot abyss are now pale under the harsh halogen lights. From the ultimate apex predator ruling the Kuroshio current, it is downgraded to an asset with a barcode. The ocean sheds no tears. There's only the absolute cruelty of the food chain. Humane technique masking ruthless consumption, jazz papers over the emptiness, where the population collapsed to 90% in A 6-inch steel spike pierces the 800-pound skull, destroying the gray matter. The nervous system is instantly unplugged. A metal wire threads down the spinal cord, neutralizing all reflexes. Arteries are severed. Hot blood flushes out, sealing the absolute purity of the meat. The masterpiece is shoved directly into a negative 60-degree Fahrenheit freezer, locking the cells. There is no eulogy. The sovereign of the sea is ultimately just a block of protein waiting for a price. The steel deck is washed clean. A 1,000 horsepower engine burns 15 gallons an hour, pushing the 400-ton ship back to port. In the negative 60-degree Fahrenheit hold, the former king of the ocean lies paralyzed, waiting for a 6,000-mile journey to Toyosu. Up in the cabin, calloused fingers glide across a calculator. The screen coldly subtracts $4,000 of overhead, converting $150 a pound into a 6-figure fortune. Bank pressure is temporarily relieved. The ocean returns to eternal silence. The ultimate paradox unfolds. A magnificent life is drowned in the deep, solely to keep fragile lives on land afloat. The journey ends. A 5-foot steel blade glides forward. A single cut snaps the spine, stripping away the armor of the ocean. The 800-pound monster is rapidly disassembled. Otoro is revealed. The marble fat, making up less than 15% of the body weight, melts at 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The jewel of the abyss is exposed. From 600 psi in the deep sea to delicate porcelain plates, the boundary between nature and luxury is separated by a single knife stroke. A flawless paradox. Humane execution techniques conceal a system of ruthless consumption. Jazz music masks the emptiness of an ocean, where populations collapsed 90% in a single century. $5 million saves a ship from bankruptcy, but permanently hollows out the continental shelf. It takes 8 years to breed. Swallowing 800 pounds of flesh, is executing 50 million years of evolutionary heritage. The Supreme King falls to a blade on land. Who 10,000 feet below is strong enough to take the throne?